What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 22 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Skarbrand the Exiled Immortal Empires campaign. So as we saw last time, some rather interesting fights, including the destruction of Kairos, as well as the pile of sort of, severely damaged remnants of Bloodhost, destroying the Elven attempt to attack the Caverns of Sotek, or at least the area around Caverns of Sotek, because thanks to the garrison, they probably would have failed at the actual location anyway. We left off with, I believe, everything done and simply ran out of time, so we didn't end the turn, but are free to end the turn right now. Skull Throne is coming up in 2 turns. I think we did the diplomacy already. And if there's something I'm forgetting, I guess I'm just forgetting. Let's see if the 1 2/3 armies attempt to attack Skarbrand now that Karanak and his Fleshhounds are no longer in that army. Skip, and then the turn. Let's find out. It's probably their best opportunity. Tamarkhan wants a defensive alliance. I'm going to say no, or continue saying no. Frankly, I doubt that there will be time in this campaign to actually attack him. If we were going for a world conquest, then we would have just attacked pretty much everybody that isn't Malagor or some of the Chaos Dwarfen factions. It's not like we'd get anything out of Tamarkhan, but in this particular case, we'll just sort of leave him. Oh, it's an interception. Oh, poor elves, gets not worth fighting. We'll take some damage, we'll heal up, and the other army just ran away. Huh, but they're in march stance. I wonder if we'll be able to reach them from where we are. I feel like we're gonna be just out of range, because the AI likes to move just out of range, and yes indeed. Alright, fair enough, but we are at full HP. Ally mission aborted, Blooded Wanderers destroyed. They'd rather die than confederate. And you know what? I respect that. Anyway, Sacrifice to Mathan, Confederation, Argolan, and Torgavan. Guess they don't like losing their armies. Constructor, Creator, Province Secured Western Badlands. Good. And Blood River Valley. And Death Pass. Wait, Blood River Valley. Yes. Alrighty, so Blood Tributes. Blood Tributes. Always gotta have the Blood Tributes, and yes. Admiring the Corrupt. Just like real life. Anyway, Drawn to Destruction, lots and lots of stuff. Yeah, shame that Skarbrand can't reach anything here, but with no manifestation, there is no real way we can do this unless... funnily enough, you could reach this little army. Skarby, could you reinforce? You can. Alright, well, you were supposed to trade with Vashnar Slaughter Call anyway, so move this way. And get ready to trade.
A discordant song.
Honestly, with Skarbrand coming in as a reinforcement, maybe we fight this just for fun. The fun part being watching the Skull Cannons do their work. You, go for Doomfire. No. Not Doomfire. Non-monstrous Strength. Warp Fire. Yes. Warp Fire is what we want, and the other thing that we will want in this army is Chaos Vanguard for the... yes, for the Chaos Warriors with Halberds. We could do Unflinching Soldiers, or we could, yeah, you know what, I think we're gonna say Chaos Vanguard into Rally, trying to get Malevolent Ranger as fast as possible for more effectiveness out of the Skull Cannons. Also, you have the Armor of Silvered Steel, which is fine, but I do believe we wanted you to get the Engineer's Knapsack. Yeah, actually gotten a few extra items. Anything here that we want to delete? We have a couple of potions of strength, but I suppose we could give those to exalted heroes and maybe not take them out. No new brass cleavers. Oh, we got a new gambler's armor. The bloody shackles I'm saving. Same with the 2 talismans of endurance. No new potions of healing, unfortunately. We did get that extra ether blade last time. Yeah, not really all that much. And the Torment Blades are being saved for cultists that are supposed to be in the Contact Effect army. So yeah. They're earmarked for units. No need to swap them around right now. You will attack. Skarby will reinforce. Unfortunately, it will mean Skarbrand won't be the one regaining his movement range, but whatever. We'll put the War Banner on the Hellforged Bellowers. And I just want to see how much damage the Skull Cannons do here. Yeah. Khorne requires slaughter, and slaughter he shall have, though one of those rare times where the slaughter shall be at the hands or skulls of our long-range weapons. 5 units of skull cannons is an absolutely nasty set of artillery pieces, especially in SFO. And especially against wood elves with those fiery projectiles. The Hellforged Bellowers leaving fiery marks upon the ground. We will also, look at that volley, start absolutely annihilating those poor Glade Guard. I fear that the fire glaives which we have put in this army will in this particular fight not have all that much to do, as I fear that the enemy will not be able to close the distance. And frankly, by the looks of it, the skull cannons should be able to take care of this army entirely themselves without the need for Skarbrand's intervention. But we'll see. The enemy is starting to move in. Fortunately, the sort of stagger animation that the, or maybe not stagger, the recoil animation, you know, when the cannons actually fire, feels like it actually helps decently well against the little piles of archers, because the unit probably moves back and dodges a fair few arrows when it does that. So, a nice little shootout that we've got going that is very much in our favor, and a little bit of a prelude slash preview for when this army has those Chaos Warriors of Khorne with halberds, which will allow them to defend against the melee while we continue to fire like this. But here, they would have done absolutely nothing, as these skull cannons are just annihilating everything. Frankly, the enemy standing still to attempt to fire off a few volleys at us is probably making them take more damage than they would if they attempted to just dodge the shots while some units close the distance. And though again, at the same time, with 5 skull cannons, I see that not being super likely, as I'm sure the Wood Elves here can attest. As can this poor little peasant mob. Also enjoying the sound of the artillery firing, and actually more so the skull of their ammunition, of their projectiles, of their shells, whatever you want to call their skulls, smashing into the enemy. There we go. Certainly haven't had a this sort of battle in this particular campaign so far, but I did enjoy it, easy though it was. It did take all of our ammunition. We'll have to keep that in mind, though I do believe there are some techs that will give us an additional, like, 20% ammunition or something like that on these guys. Just gotta remember them. Good lord, that was absolutely bloody brutal. Granted, it's fire units against wood elves and basic wood elf units at that, but that was absolutely bloody brutal. The skull cannons making quick work of the entire army, and Skarbrand didn't really have to participate at all. Lovely. I guess we'll devour the captives. Alrighty, now speaking of Skarbrand and co, you will transfer to Vashnar. We'll transfer to Vashnar. All of you. And these guys are going to a different army. The heroes are fine here. And there we go, Vashnar with 15 units. In theory, we might want a couple more fire glaives plus the heroes. We could also go for hell cannons, but I feel like I'd prefer the fire glaives. I want some more fighty units. Plus, the whole glaive thing works nicely with the halberd thing that this guy's got going. Take a turn of attrition via combat trust to max out your mana. Skarbrand, you have like no units left and you're gonna trade the rest away too. Kuhar, I decided with Kuhar to build just a few temporary chaos chariots. That's not what his army is going to be completed with, but I wanted his army to essentially be functional right the heck now. So yeah, that's what we did. I'm gonna go here now. And then I guess we could get a couple more chariots in here just for the purpose of, once again, remaining function. Ooh, we can build the 2 more Wrathmongers. Good. Oh, we got the additional skull cannon. Ooh, that one we wanted in Graal's army. You know what? Graal. How about this? How many turns would it take? in global recruitment to build a skull cannon. 3? Oh, man, okay, fine. Temporary lord here. I don't dislike Blood Drenched with the Gore Feast. Singed, I was also thinking of doing a fire army, not that it's super necessary, although I suppose the question then would be which kind of lord would lead it? What kind of fire units we'd have? Well, primarily it would be... We don't really have a very chosen heavy army. I don't really like to build super chosen heavy armies just by virtue of the fact that they're already obnoxiously strong and we only have a max of 2 in an army. But we could do a smaller army with more chosen though, in theory. Something to think about, but anyway. I guess that is indeed what we'll do. Let's do a temporary lord at, I don't know, Black Crag. We will take the blood-drenched guy or the singed guy. You know what, go for the singed guy for now. There's a decent likelihood that we'll swap it out later, depending on what kind of units we want. But anyway, I would like you to build a skull cannon. Just the one. And you can also get Dominating Presence and Root Marcher. This way we can immediately transfer it to Grawl. And then we'll still need the Blood Crushers, but we're awaiting those. Alright, you two, keep moving together. And, okay, we have to figure out who's going where again. On the bright side, we don't have a lot of heroes anymore. So you are a menace. You are a... what? Dripping with blood. Okay, so you are going to Bastion's army. With the other one. Good. You also now need Jabberslaiths and Wrathmongers. You are going to immediately build your 4th and final Cygor. Moxia, you're more or less done. You need to move out of here and then grab the last Gorgon from Skarby and then just get whatever heroes we ultimately give you. Go this way. But you're basically done. I mean, I guess we could put a couple more Forsaken in here temporarily if we wanted to, but anyway. Kuchar, just use a global recruitment to build a couple of extra chariots temporarily. You know what, do a couple of Gorby's chariots to lead with the other chariots. At least, and we'll slowly replace the chariots and whatnot over time with, you know, speedy heroes and skull cannons and blood shrines and other mechanical things. It's just that we don't have the ability to do so right now. You are going to join Eddie.
Not yet.
And speaking of Eddie, I would like to see Slaughterer. That's the one we wanted here, right? Yes. You know what? Rather than travel the long way, I'm gonna say we'll build a Slaughterer here. Build. I mean, recruit. You know what I mean. We'll also want to mill the Brawler. Frankly, we use Brawler rather than... I mean, just to increase damage rather than the Skull Belt, which is just generally kind of... Again, decent for dueling, but the effect range is tiny, so it effectively only affects one unit. Yeah, get rid of the Skull Belt one. And Cultists of Khorne. Okay, now for you, Brawler and Wild are both completely useless, so let's just delete. They may as well be nothing. Alrighty, so your army, Eddie, will now be complete as soon as both of these guys reach your army. Perfect. Alright. Happy with that. Karnath, you are a battle master. I believe you are going... In theory, we could put you into Bloodbound's army, because again, leading all the piles of blood letters. What else do we have here? These guys could maybe use a Blood Reaper in theory. And they will need a couple of cultists plus Chaos Knights, which would be 16 units out of 20, and then we'd be able to put up to 6 Chaos Knights if we want, if we don't get any exalted heroes in there, though admittedly the melee defense on these guys could use work. Do you need a Blood Reaper? Maybe, but you probably won't have enough heroes to get benefit of it, and these 2 Blood Reapers, you know what, I'm gonna say, wait, wrong guy. You're a menace. And you are going into one of these armies. Oh, right. Moxia, Pike and Shot. Vashnar. Oh, you're suffering attrition. Oh, right, we're purposely suffering attrition. You're going to want some Chaos Commanders, and the menaces there would be good because they would be allowing to, you know, use Tormentor Sword to stop enemies. In theory. Alrighty, and then what are you? You are a What? Did I not move another Battlemaster? Oh, right, those same Battlemaster. Alright, you want to go into this army, I think. Or would it then be too much like this army? You know what? I don't want a repeat of that army. You're going this way instead. I'll figure out what I want for that particular army, but for now we're okay. Alright, Major Rager, now that that's done, let's send you to the Fortress of Dawn. I'd like you to at least attempt to land here. Ah, would you look at that, a little army. Maybe we try not to... There we go. We can besiege it immediately. And we can attack immediately, minus the issue of the fact that the enemy reinforcements will come in. Or we could just wait here, and they'll sally out and fight us in the field, which I think would be better, though at the same time, considering there's a decent likelihood that Teclis is all the way out here. We may want to be careful about that. I don't see military presence here, though. Meaning we might be safe to move closer. I'm somewhat concerned, I will admit. You know what? Move out of the stance just in case you want to run. And then we'll see. Alright, you know what? I'm going to say use you as a scout. Send you forward. I think this place should be able to defend itself, and you might be able to bait Teclis wheresoever he may be into moving towards you. I don't see Teclis. Alright, hopefully you survive, little buddy. Hopefully, we shall see. What else do we have? Eddie, you're still healing, buddy, and in fact... I don't like the fact that you're losing mana. We could put you into combat trials, but then it'll unheal you. On the other hand, this guy's coming here. You know what? Go here. Go into combat trials. At least next turn this guy will be able to reach you, and then the turn after that you'll be able to heal to full immediately and then keep moving this way. You're gonna suffer attrition anyway. I think that's the best way to do this. Alright, Pav of the Storm Ravens, we were going to have you grab Frozen Landing for us, colonize. Most likely to try to trade it to the Chaos Dwarfs. Arbal. These guys failed to take Plesk. I guess the question is, do we want to grab it before they do? Maybe we should just try to vassalize these Chaos Dwarfs. Minus 95. If we could vassalize them and grab Temple of Heimkel, I think that would work nicely. You know what? Grab Plesk for now. I assume that there will be... It's just a free occupy. Yeah, alright. Occupy it. Just so that these guys don't have it. I hate to waste the skulls like this, but it is what it is. And... delete the Simmering Anger, because most likely we'll be trading this away and go for the defenses there. Alright. That's how we're dealing with that now. And still not enough to upgrade to Chaos Knights. Now, God, you guys are slowly leveling. But it is what it is. Golgast, you are in range of Valley of Horns, the last remaining location, I presume, of the Caravan of Blue Roses. And with the Graveguard Watchtower, it looks like they've got themselves a nice little defensive location. I'm willing to bet that they'll sally out and fight in the field, though. And with our chariots, it's probably where we want to be. Let us, however, level. I think you have everything, right? Unless I'm mistaken, you do. You don't need reload time reduction in this army. Horn Gores and Monstrous Strength. Yeah, I think everything's covered. Alrighty, let's grab Thick Skin, even though it's not useful against this particular enemy. I like the post-battle chance of sealing a magic item decently well, but it's not magic item drop chance, so it's not quite as useful. I like you to get hard to hit and Thick Skin. You need to be as tanky as possible, and then go for Scarred Vet and Blade Shield. Yeah. You are relatively fragile, at least, on the chariot. You desperately need hard to hit and Blade Shield as a priority. Because these guys effectively have no melee defense. Deadly Blade, Foe Seeker, and Blade Shield, and then we'll max out We Are the Elite. Though technically we're not attacking next turn. You, Skyla, I'm going to say cleave into Slaughter because it gives you physical resistance. Not that you've been having a lot of trouble with the enemy, but killing you or doing heavy damage to you, but just in case. Ooh. The Cultist is new, yeah, so you can have Replenish Troops, War's Prayer for Kill for Khorne, Aura, Revelrous War Host into Plunder the Feeble for the Research, Twisted Artifacts for the Magic Item Drop Chance, and God's Pact, obviously Gate of Khorne into Greater Gate of Khorne for emergency summons, and Renowned into Esteemed Combatant, which maybe I should have invested more in prior to this fight. Also, since we're leveling, Major Rager, I'm willing to bet that you have gotten some levels as well. Esteemed combatant will work nicely here. We could go all the way through to retinue trainer, but it's not critical right now. I'm gonna say I'd rather have the additional hard to hit and thick skin and foe seeker to be able to reposition a little bit faster. Exalted Hero 1. We are the elite. And thick skinned. There's gonna be a lot of high elf ranged units that we'll need to watch out for. Oh, I gotta remember that the Exalted Heroes of Khorne can go Raging Stalwart plus Menace for 10% spell resistance per unit. Which is pretty solid, you gotta admit. Yeah. Anyway, you're on a Juggernaut, right? Yeah. Alrighty, go for hard to hit. These guys have so little melee defense that it needs to be fixed. Alright, and then the Scar. What do we have here? You can ignore Prophet for now. I don't think there is a need. I'm gonna say missile resistance. You're not that big of a target, but big enough, I think, that you might get hit. Maim, Foe Seeker, and I guess Cleave. You don't have enough HP to get as much mileage out of murder. Thick skin for obvious reasons. We are the elite is already maxed. Good. Hard to hit into Deadly Blade. Good. Cultist. What do we have here? Brass Collar. Enemy fire resistance is always nice to have. And let's go Brutal Charge, Hard to hit, Thick Skinned, and Foe Seeker to reposition. And then start moving through Scarred Vet. We, being on a War Shrine, can take advantage of that. We don't need Harbingers of Death in this particular army. I think we just have it because we wanted to move to the red line. We could get Lightning Strike if we wanted to. Yeah, why not? We're already basically there. Alrighty, and then go to kill. You have plenty of points to go through your fighty line anyway. Alright, you guys are now good. In theory, we could Lightning Strike and attack the enemy's settlement and take it before the enemy army can recover or can respond. This would also allow us to sack it and then immediately move to attack you. Though at the same time, if we capture this at tier 3, we'd be able to keep Dawn's Harbor at tier 3, which might be a decent option as well. Is it worth 78k sack value though? That I'm not so sure about. I'll have to give it some thought. Anyway, let's see who else needs to move this particular turn. Bastion is sitting pretty. Gulgast is sitting to allow the enemy to attack him. Graal Carnalitas. You, in theory, will want to move back to Galbaraz / Granti Mingol, where you will recruit stuff as you will eventually be the leader of a flying army. And you guys sort of stay together until you have your own armies. Good. Everybody's splitting off. Soon Skarby's gonna be an empty nester. Alrighty, Kagan, oh yeah, you're here, you're fine. Alright, let's do building, let's end the turn, and then let's see what we've got here. Coast of Araby, oh wow, look at that, we're making 1.2k. Corn buildings, like nothing. Alrighty, let's see what we got. More Jugger plants, more trophy calls. Oh, we're actually starting to drop in terms of our cash, go figure. Alright. At least our locations are growing, but I think we still only have 2 tier 5s. Or else we'd have more Great Chaos Dragons, admittedly. Anyway, what do we have here? Abattoir and Blightwater. Oh, wow. Lots of buildings to be built here. Another one of these Cornate Tributes, and... oh, right, I wanted to... okay, wait. I wanted to build a couple more Wrathmongers, but your recruitment is going to complete it next turn, and I take it, yeah, they're going to take 2 turns. Do we want to take 2 turns? I mean, then we could deliver them all at the same time, so maybe we do. And then the next Great Chaos Dragon will be in 3 turns, so we don't have to do that with you. We can use another Recruiter Lord for that particular purpose. Alright, keep building the defenses here, as this is a relatively nicely fortified set of settlements. Let's also grab the trophy rooms, whatever those are called. And yes, I built them 1,000,000 times in this campaign, and I still can't remember. Trophy racks, trophy chambers, and trophy halls. No trophy rooms, but sure. Everything but rooms. Yeah, okay, you can go for furs, most definitely. Gotta get that little extra bit of missile resistance faction-wide. I guess most of the furs are in Norska, which is why we don't have as many here. Let's do the well, actually no. I was about to say we could do dimensional terrors here, but there are nearby enemy factions, and frankly, if they attack, we'll want the places with better defensible buildings, which means the mortal buildings rather than the demonic buildings. Them's just the breaks. Alrighty, what about the tusks? Our one and only tusk thing. And a trophy rack, nice. Haunted Forest, go for the trophy chamber, and the last one, I don't know, Shambletown, I don't really care which one. Go for the trophy racks, trophy racks, trophy racks. And we're down to only 25k. Would you look at that? Missions. We've got Dorian, who will probably not be the one attacking us. Corellia will, but I can't see Corellia. Great. Horus Ursus is back. Alright, we'll take you. Dulas is... oh, there's another army here. Good for them. Death Cheater, Cog, Belly Poker. Sure. And we will take... too far. Corellia. Good. Getting a decent amount of income from the World Walkers. Might be able to build some... stuff from them. Alright. For now, though, I believe we're good to go. We could, in theory... yeah, I don't think we want any one of, or either one of those. Alright, let's end the turn. We should have 2 fights immediately. One from the High Elves, and oh, I should have put you in... well, no, actually, I don't think we could have switched stances. What? Tamor, how dare you take territory? Is this in our territory? Oh, you shouldn't have done that, buddy. I think you have made a tremendous error in judgment here, buddy. But we'll deal with it in a bit. For now, though, Corellia, there we go. Close victory, casualties medium, lots and lots of archer units, a couple of swordmasters and a couple of Saurus. Interesting. Alright. They have Thorson's Thunderst... oh, they have a Cataclysm. Oh, that's not going to be good for you guys. You don't have a lot of spell... well, actually, now you do. Huh. I thought these guys had lower spell resistance, but I guess it's risen since... well, isn't that lovely? Go.
My call has led you here. Your fury will lead you onwards to bloody triumph.
Alrighty, here we go, to bloody triumph indeed, from Wood Elves to High Elves, and a very different manner of fighting than our Skull Cannon army. Or, well, technically Pike and Shot army, but for that particular battle may as well have been a Skull Cannon army. We've got reinforcements coming into battle in about a minute, so we do have a decent amount of time to close the distance with the enemy and start whacking away at them. And I'm sure Akarak Hellscream here is excited to get started. In fact, he'll accelerate, charging forth towards the enemy Illyrian Reavers, putting them in place before some of the Marauders close the distance with them. Though the AI did smartly try to charge through towards the Marauders, Illyrian Reavers are pretty darn fragile and will be cut down in pretty short order. The enemy does use Thorson's Thunderstorm, but it decided to use it while we were moving, which in some ways makes sense, in the sense that they used it while their own units weren't in danger, but anyway. Anyway, there are more Illyrian Reavers to hunt down, and our units of Marauder Horsemen will be working away at that. And by the looks of it, fairly effectively, as the enemy are doing all the attempting to escape and none of the actual fighting. In the meantime, however, with 8 seconds remaining, it looks like the enemy is about to get their reinforcements onto the battlefield. Gehenna's Golden Hounds does clip a few of our units, and I'm sure will do some damage. But on the bright side, the first enemy army is about 80% destroyed by the time the reinforcements arrive. So that works nicely for us. Though we will of course have to reposition for the new arrivals and deal with them in short order. Huh. I'm pretty sure I heard one of the elves yell King and Country. Interesting. Or at least be in Phoenix Kingdom country, but anyway. Alrighty. Now looks like we engage the second enemy army, and the sword masters are here, so I'm sure we will take a decent bit of damage to some of our marauder piles. Though Murderous Exhortations has come up in the midst of the enemy blob, and frankly, enemy's not having a good time whatsoever. The first of the enemy swords masters have in fact been annihilated by the Bloodwake Berserkers, but that perhaps is not super surprising. They're good, but they're not Bloodwake Berserker good. And it looks like tactically this battle is pretty much done while we pin the enemy front liners, the enemy spears and whatnot in place. Our cultists open up their gates of chaos, summoning 2 or 3 units of bloodletters and 2 bloodthirsters, particularly in the midst of the enemy backliners, preventing the enemy archers from firing, forcing the Lothern Sea Guard into melee, where we know we hold the advantage by a pretty wide margin. Granted, if the enemy army was entirely made up of White Lions and sword masters, we may not be able to say the same here. Although at this point our marauders do quite a bit of damage, so who knows. 85 melee attack and 80 weapon strength, that's pretty darn good for a tier 2 marauder unit. As I'm sure these elves can also attest, though most of them are dead at this point, and the rest of them will attempt to flee as the battle turns fully in our favor. Alrighty, very nice. Kairos' armies may not have been so great for this particular army due to their all their range and that stuff, but against the fragile elves, all the massive piles of elven infantry are getting rather obliterated by the twin axe marauder piles. Granted, the marauder piles are fragile, but with the Bloodwake Berserkers and the other tanky units in the lead, and they're able to absorb the damage and allow these guys to do the work. Love to see it. Otherwise, we also did fairly well on the Marauder Horsemen, including getting 31,000 damage and 2,000 damage Delta's gold value. Absolutely massive work out of these guys. Magnificent. We're gonna heal up because there's a decent likelihood that we would have gotten punted out of the siege. Wouldn't be the first time. Truchy! No peace. No peace, buddy. It ain't happening. Well, let's see what we got here. Ah, the plagues are still going, eh? They're just never gonna stop, but at least they're not Skaven plagues. Alright, what do we have here? Yeah, that's 2 solid stacks once again against Gulgast's army, which is quickly approaching its high ranks. Everybody's at rank 7 minimum now, so we're benefiting from the ends of the red line. And at rank 35, Gulgast has been doing good. Been enjoying his army as well. Go.
Let the heads roll! Let the slaughter commence!
Alrighty, well, the slaughter has never really ended, my friend, as I'm sure Skarbrand can attest. Anyway, here we go. From wood elves to high elves to the vampire counts. As usual, can't complain about the variety of enemies in this particular campaign. We'll start the battle off over on the left flank, where our vanguard deployed Khorngors and begin to engage with some of the enemy Black Knights, and unfortunately for us, a unit of CANNONRY, which should actually tear apart our Khorngors no problem with the massive amount of armor-piercing magical damage that they deal. They do lose a fair bit of HP themselves, being fairly fragile, but effectively see one of our units of Khorngors pretty much run away. And again, unsurprisingly. Fortunately, Skyla Anfengrim has arrived to help out, and the Banner of Hellfire does hit those CANNONRY, while Skyla himself works on the Crypt Hulks to try to make sure that they don't do too much more damage to the already damaged Khorngors. In the meantime, we've got several little mini skirmishes working in our favor here. Although, the enemy has actually fairly smartly used 2 fell bats to touch down upon 2 of our units of fell beasts, keeping them away from the main line and allowing those 2 units of bestigors to suffer a lot more damage than they otherwise would have if the blood beasts had been there to reinforce and anchor their line. And definitely solid move from the AI. I was not expecting them to use the bats like that on the blood beasts, but here we are. Speaking of blood beasts, a second unit of CANNONRY has surrounded them with the halberdier graveguard as well, seeing these guys lose about 50% of their HP and be forced to back off. Over all the way on the right flank is where we have deployed all of our Gorebeast chariots this time, rather than sort of separating them from each other. This, I think, however, is fine, as the enemy Crypt Hulks and several units of Black Knights on this particular side would have otherwise made it towards our main line and could have used their mass and charge and whatnot to cause some havoc. Unfortunately, the only havoc they'll get is that of fighting Gorebeasts, and thusly in our favor. Alrighty, the Mad's power has risen to about 70% in our favor, though a decent amount of enemies are still fighting, and of course Gorsty is still on the field. Frankly, as soon as Skylandfingram is no longer busy, we're just going to have to send him after Gorst. And fortunately, that looks like it should be reasonably soon, I think. In the meantime, the Vargulf has been annoying our units, since we don't really have all that much to counter it with, so we open up that demon Greater Gate of Khorne and summon a bloodthirster on the field to take care of the Vargulf for us. And pretty darn effectively. The bloodthirster is barely damaged and the Vargulf is down to about 40% of its HP, plus is now away from our main line, which was severely beat up. On top of thus not wanting the Vargulf to chase our army, or our routing units, should any rout down. And in fact, got 3 that suffered severe enough damage to have to back off towards the tree line. Anyway, the left flank where the Khorne Gore's Vanguard deployed has completely collapsed, and Skyla has in fact moved away from it. Now proceeding to try to hunt down Helman Gorst, while our hurt units actually make their way back into the fray. Once again, I'm not so sure it's in Khorne and his minions to patiently wait while the slaughter happens, you know? Be the slaughter you want to see in the world. Anyway, the battle's power has shifted about 90% in our favor, and Skyla has found Helman Gorst taking about 45% of his HP with his first double blow. There is a second little minion Necro in the way, so we're going to have the summoned Bloodthirster go for that, while Skyla keeps quacking away at Helman Gorst. No Slaneshi giggle. But not for much longer, as Helman was already down in terms of his HP, and now is gone, probably for good. With Gorst's fall, it looks like the undead begin melting away, unsurprisingly. And it's only a matter of time until the last of the remaining zombies are surrounded and destroyed. Hey there, Gorebeast. You get pets. And right on time. The Gorebeast was so happy that the battle ended. The victory was apparently close, and admittedly, once again, we did take some severe damage on the main line, partly because we separated our army a little bit too much. I think there wasn't any real need to do this in this particular situation, but I really wanted to see those Gorebeasts fight the Black Knights and other things, and clearly they did pretty darn well. Alrighty, there we go. A pretty nice final fight for Helman Gorst, giving us a close victory, and, well, I'd say pretty severely damaging our main line of Bestigors at the very least, and the Blood Beasts, who were having a little bit of trouble with the enemy Crypt Hulks, perhaps unsurprisingly. 37,000 damage on the best performing Bestigor herd, though. and about 28 and 29,000 on the various blood beasts with the lympho fights, doing pretty darn good. 39,000 damage on one of the gore beast chariots, and every time I'm impressed with the gore beast chariots. They're so dang good. Skulls for the skull throne, I guess. We'll want to raise the place. Probably could have sacked it, but I didn't want to come back here, so we'll just deal with it as it is. Wound failure. Okay, I'm glad that it failed. What did we get here? Banner of Unholy Victory. Is this one of the good ones? Mouse, please. Oh, a little bit of a base weapon damage increase. I'll have to double check who has high base weapon damage. Anyway, Fortress of Dawn, 84k. Yeah, I think we'll be sacking it. Construction, faction destroyed, blood hosts power up. Not that we really care that much about it, but you know. And oh wow, this is still gonna take 3, even with the bonus research points. Oh, it's probably. This is probably, yeah, alright, fine, fair enough. Alrighty, we will sack this place. And then we will occupy it after. Ooh, lots of skulls out of it, but, fused armor, it's not that good. Where the heck is Teclis? I can actually ignore this and go immediately to Dawn's Light. Interesting, and go back to the Fortress of Dawn. Though, admittedly, at the same time, we'd have to go this way anyway, but maybe it's not a bad idea. Teclis couldn't be here, could he? No, I see Lothiel. I guess he's up north dealing with the Bloody Hands, or at the very least trying to. Alright. Go here, and before doing anything else, we will move you into reinforce. No, not like that. You're gonna land right beside these guys at Dawn's Light. Like so. Beautiful. Then we will auto-resolve. Then this place, I guess... Oh, you know what? Nah, whatever. This place we will sack for the cash. And we won't have enough movement range to go anywhere else anyway, so we will occupy it. Free Coronate Mutant, free Spotter Spyglass, maybe we'll turn it into something. Ooh, War Banner, not for you, but very good. And the Skull Cannons can use those. Occupy this, and then swap the... I don't know, whichever, 2 Marauders. Alright, and then that means you, Delivery Evolve, will probably start building up an army that has other units. As in, I want to make use of those Marauders. But we'll have to mix them with something else. I haven't decided what yet. Anyway, oh wait, did I do missions? Apparently not. Toltiran, Curiella, and Contagicae. I'm gonna say Curiella. More likely, I think, to happen faster. In fact, oh, you're just out of range? Actually, yeah, you can't go to Tor Serpendar, but because it's reasonably well defended. I wonder, if you go into march or ambush stance here, will Curiella attempt to go past this place? I guess we're gonna find out. Alrighty, Skarby, with your non-existent troops. First of all, you will transfer to Moxia here. The other Gorgon. Like so. Moxia, 17 out of 20, just missing heroes now, but certainly viable enough to fight. Vashnar. What are we looking at in terms of additional fire glaives? Cost-wise and capacity-wise? Are they still 33? 35 now. Yeah. How much are Skullcrackers? 28, not as expensive. Maybe we could go without here and put something else in here instead. There's something to think about. I think we have sufficient Chaos Warriors of Khorne, though, to be, admittedly. Anyway, I'm gonna say march stance for now. You're going this way, through Grenstadt, I think. And then I guess Mr. Moxia, you are going to go into briefly combat trials and start moving this way. Actually, wait. What do we have here? Giant pile of gobs. Winds magic strong, winds magic blowing. I take it we want to be very strong, like so. Good. Also, now that you have where are you going? Okay, I don't know where he's going, whatever. You. Since you're using Forsaken, let's grab Chaos Vanguard. And the Minotaurs will be monstrous strength. Like so. Gorgons are not part of this. Obviously, the Bulgors aren't either. They're frankly, because they don't have the red line buffs, are probably going to end up being weaker than our Minotaurs, but I wanted them there just for, you know, variety's sake. You can also grab Legion of Doom to buff up the Forsaken. A little bit of melee defense and armor, fight or die, and then freakish mutations for the Bloodbrute Behemoth as well as the Minotaurs, and I believe that completes the red line that's needed for your particular army. Hearts of Iron, always useful, and I'm going to say... go through Thick Skin first. Admittedly, the Forsaken do fire damage though, so we gotta keep that in mind. Alrighty, then. Kuchar. Yes, we could move you northward. I was gonna say maybe you should wipe out Xerexil. Fight Clan Angrand a little bit, though admittedly with your army being incomplete as of yet, I'll think about it. Either way, go here, we can always raid it and see what's going on. Like so. Alrighty. Skarby, you need to transfer the Jabberslights, and what's the likelihood that you can get another... I mean, these guys will probably have to follow Skarby, and one of them will transfer their army while it is as yet incomplete, just so that Skarby has something to use. Admittedly, or more likely, yeah, these guys. We need to get them over there. Actually, speaking of, I just want to see what else we have here capacity-wise. Okay, no new Chaos Dragons. What about those Skull Cannons? Okay, we got one Skull Cannon available. We already started building the one here, and in fact, we need to move you two over. Grawl, you can March Stance, but I'm not going to expose Bloodbound to it, so I'm going to say move you behind these guys. Like so. Then, Engra, you are definitely going into this army now. Wait, stop 1 second. Put you in this army first. And Engra into this army second. You can then go into raiding stance. Like so. Like so. Actually, you don't need to be in raiding stance, this is our own territory. Oh, actually, you do need to be in raiding stance because we'll suffer attrition because of mountain pass attrition. Yeah, whatever. It's not a big deal. There we go. Also, you will immediately go into replenish troops, and that is very much needed. There we go. Now you're free to prosecute the war against Clan Rictus without taking too much damage. Skull Throne. What do we have here? We have army replenishment, not really needed right now. Post-battle loot, we don't really care about that much anymore. I'm gonna say go back into the endless fuel for the additional growth everywhere. And hey, we've reached the Warhammer 40,000 skulls that we needed, which is one of our, one of our self-made victory objectives. Couldn't finish the campaign without it after all. Alrighty, you, go here. I'm gonna assume that they can't reach us here. I'd be very disappointed if they could, but if they can, then you're both dead. Well, maybe not you, but one of you might be dead. We'll see. Anyway, Skarby. I hate for this to decay, but I don't think we have much of a choice in the matter, so you're going this way briefly.
We serve the greatest God.
And you guys stay with Skarby, like so. Then Skarby will want to transfer both of his Jabberslights to... I believe it was Bastion, unless I'm mistaken. Let me just double check. Yeah. Good. And this is all Skarby has left. Does that matter? I'm pretty sure he can still win fights just fine like this. I mean, we've seen Imric do the same thing in Imric's campaign. Anyway, Exalted Hero of Khorne with Menace. Which one, if any of these armies, would we want to put you into? Frankly, Forsaken probably needed more than anything else, so maybe... Oh, wait. Spell resistance, but Tormentor's Sword means you should go into Vashnar's army. Yeah, be able to stop enemies is good, and we'll probably want another one of those as well. Alright, what do we have here in terms of heroes then? Since all of these armies are nearby. Ooh, another Blood Reaper with Battlemaster, that's great. Another useless garbage skull belt.
Exalted hero of Khorne.
Goodbye, exalted hero of Khorne. Hey, a Battlemaster cultist. That's a really nice one. All right, good. Ideally, it would be nice to have a Battlemaster in every army. Frankly, I would have actually preferred the Battlemaster to the Menace in this particular force. These guys would thus confer a little bit more melee defense to the Forsaken, but I suppose we'll also need it in this army, therefore we'll probably try to transfer you there. Alright, makes sense to me. What else do we have? You, Karnath. You are a Battlemaster. Start moving up here. And I believe that's all the heroes -1, unless I'm mistaken, or maybe I am mistaken. That's Karnath. Yeah, that was the last one. Oh, wow. Can't believe we did that. Alrighty, Gore Feasters or Masters, you're fine. Graal Carnalitas, you need to move back to Granti Mingol so that you can recruit stuff. Yes. Hopefully we'll have another Soul Grinder capacity by then, and before the Bread and Bloodshed disappears. Skarby wants more Soul Grinders after all. Alright, the rest of you are fine. You know what, Kagan, you can combat trials. If you guys are gonna sit here anyway, I feel like you should combat trial it up. You're still recruiting, so you can't, but getting there. Alright, you're waiting for your knights, and they're to the south. Arbal, I don't know why I started doing this completely out of order, but it's too late to do anything about it now. Arbal, you're gonna go here to Prague, and Pav, you are going to move into help. Well, help. You're probably gonna be traded plus, because I'm gonna say Dimensional Breach here. Arbal. I guess raid. Actually, if this guy, they'll probably sally out and attack you. You know what, go into regular stance then. And camp doesn't really do much for us. And I don't want to lose the additional winds of magic per turn. You guys are not able to knightify yourselves yet, but so darn close. We're getting there. Slowly but surely. And I believe Gulgast is the last one that needs to move. So, you have sacked or raised, rather, Valley of Horns. Let's move northward to Amble Peak. Which we won't be able to reach in one turn, I take it? No. I'm tremendously irritated by this. But it is what it is. Can't believe they came down here to... They went through Grimgor's territory, they decided not to attack Grimgor. I take it this wasn't a... Yeah, Kyrus has been destroyed, so it wasn't a territory transfer. This is just the AI being opportunistically obnoxious. Not even one of our allies, though, so in theory we could take it from them. Anyway, let's do building, let's do turn ending immediately after. Jugger Plant, go figure. And another Jugger Plant, or Jugger Plex. Alright, Blood Marshes, Marshes. 8 peaks. Not too much in the way of admin left, because most of our territories are looking pretty good in terms of their buildings. What the heck? Orthodoxy. Oh, right. Huh. I see this bug is still around. It's a bit weird, but it is what it is. This one's been around for a while, but admittedly there's a lot of bugs that have been around for a while, so... And it should hardly be of any surprise. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, just keep upgrading these. And Salt and Trophy Rex. I wonder what our post-battle loot total is now at this point. Not that it matters over much, mind you, at this point. But I'm willing to bet it's a fair bit. You are going to switch to Dark Bastion. Death Pass, you are going to upgrade yourself. Iron Mine is coming along nicely. Lanashi giggle. Eastern Oblast, what do we have here? Plesk, yeah, we'll just upgrade it to potentially trade, hopefully for vassalage. And Gormodny Mountains, you're kind of in the same, or Frozen Landing rather, you're kind of in the same position. We'll do the Dark Bastion here, and I believe that's it. Alright, no unholy manifestations to do, especially since Skarby's not fighting right now. And I believe we're good. Skip. Damage building. Okay, I'll try to remember that that exists next turn. And everybody else is looking okay. Good, alrighty. Let's see if these guys attack Moxia here. His items are good. I'm probably gonna lose that Armor of Khorne at some point. Yeah, no, I don't think so. You're too slow to use the Cursed Armor. Yeah, alright, end turn.
I live only for slaughter. Perhaps one day I may slaughter you.
Alright, non-aggression pack now. Is he allied with Malice or is he fighting him? Hey, looks like Yuri Vasilovsky will indeed sally out, and I think this is worthy of our attention. Perhaps even if we do enough work with our cav, we might be able to get them their knightliness. Knight them. Go.
The slimmer your chances, the greater the glory you will reap.
Alrighty, here we go. Well, I wouldn't say our chances are all that slim here, but Kislev is good for a solid scrap, generally speaking. In the same way that I love to play the undead with the vampire counts, and play against them, Kislev is kind of the same way. Anyway, we're going to start the battle off with a massive, obnoxious charge from the Knights of the Brazen Throne. Charging first through one unit and doing about 60% damage to it, and then charging through several more, and just because they can. And, oh, well, those poor Kislevites get sent flying. We don't want to win the entire battle this way, but it is occasionally nice to see an obnoxious charge like this. Just don't want to abuse it too much, just enough. Anyway, and they are still charging. I want to see by the time the charge ends, we've got, let's see, 4 kills but 23,000 damage. And due to the sheer amount of damage dealt, that was a pretty darn worthwhile charge. Many units and heroes and lords and don't get 22 damage over an entire battle, much less from a single charge. Anyway, Arbal the Undefeated will move towards the enemy lord, who's a level 22 boyar. We'll stop him in his tracks with that Tormentor's sword and move towards him while the main brawl begins. The Chaos Warriors have taken the time to approach while the Knights of the Brazen Throne were distracting the enemy, and together with the Beastmen, Giants will start annihilating whatever enemy units they can come into contact with. Though, of course, with the buffs that the enemy has, even the Kossars with Saber and Shield have pretty solid stats. Speaking of solid stats, the light war sleds, maybe not heavy, but still very solid, have been doing a fair bit of damage to some of our Marauder horsemen. So we're actually going to back the horses off such that we can use their throwing axes upon the light war sleds instead of directly fighting them in melee. The unit is unfortunately not strong enough in melee to warrant them attacking the enemy in that manner. And that's with the Fleshhound support as well. But that's not a big deal because we have the Marauder Horsemen in our other army where they are buffed significantly more, A, and B, in this army they were always going to evolve to Knights to eventually get Skull Crushers, hopefully. Alrighty, Giant working away at the enemy. The bounce power is at about, let's say, 65% in our favor. Snow Leopard has routed and returned, but that's just another unit for the Giant to take out. The enemy lord has at last been, well, maybe not quite caught by Arbal, but at least damaged by Arbal. And it looks like he's attempting to go after our cultist. Actually, probably a smart move. But without actually isolating the cultist first, I'm not entirely sure how you're seeking to achieve that. Anyway, the enemy's right flank has, by and large, completely collapsed. The enemy center is not looking so hot either. The enemy lord has been pretty soundly defeated by Arbal and is down to about 30% of his HP as he attempts to escape. And there we go. With that, by our blood runs out the clock. The Kislevite units are no longer unbreakable, or at least will not be unbreakable in a few seconds, and the battle will be well and truly ours. In fact, I don't think there's enough to see to bother with the rest of that, so we'll speed matters along a teensy bit, chase enemies down, and with that, the battle is done. Very nice. Alright, there. Oh, one of the snow leopards escaped. I didn't even realize it. But anyway, a lovely little fight for Mr. Arball here. Certainly some damage on the Cultists of Khorne. These guys have a tendency to be focused down by range units, and Kislev is nothing if not full of ranged units or hybrid units, and most of which can use ranged attacks. Anyway, we took a little bit of damage, so I think we're going to heal up in a second. We've got, the Cujo's kids massively outdoing the other doggos for the Chaos Warriors. It's one of the unnamed ones, at least with Sword and Board with 17 up with 24k, and then 28k for Anger Management, beating out them all. Very nice. And 30k damage and 30k damage on both Arball and the Knights of the Brazen Throne, both very solid. Astrogoth, whatever it is now. This depends on if you will be our vassal. Again, it seems like the Legion of Asgore does not offer enough units out, or enough allegiance. Unit numbers, units are too limited. You know what I mean. We want more units is what I'm getting at. Peace treaty with Gorbad. No, sorry, Gorbad. He was doing really good, but we've effectively annihilated him. I feel very slightly bad for it, but not that bad. It had to be done. He had a red color scheme, and there can only be one. Anyway, looks like no further attacks. Ally mission successful, and technology researched, good for the blood hosts, and yeah, looks like our research is rising decently. Also missions, real quick. Boris Ursus is out here. Huh. Draca's taken Castle Alexandrinov and Erengrad. Kind of interesting. Rick Slice Blade is back down here. Moving towards Ashridge Mountains, though I'm willing to bet he's actually going to go past them towards the Bone Gulch, which is kind of annoying. Rick is certainly being an irritant, and Teclis is moving back towards the Fortress of Dawn. Interesting. I wonder if we should go there and preempt his arrival. Something to think about. I'm gonna say take Teclis. I don't know, whichever. Anyway, I think with that, folks, this is probably going to be a good time to call this particular episode, so call it I shall. Ooh, that's a pretty nice force. Grawl may actually struggle with it a bit. We shall see, especially depending on what the other units come by and do. And this guy, I assume that out of raiding stance he'll be able to reach the Bone Gulch, though it does have some decent defenders compared to other territories previously. I'm willing to bet he'll bypass Ashridge Mountains, but I don't think he can take anything else, at least I doubt it. But we'll have to find out next time, because I'm calling it here, and yeah, that's about it. So, stay tuned for more Khorne. Don't forget to leave those likes in the comments below, and ooh, Moxia, gonna get a debut battle with your piles of mad cows, I guess. I got a little bit, maybe too much on the Minotaurs, but I think it's counteracted by the fact that the Forsaken have no melee defense and are completely super fragile, so I think it'll still be nice conceptually because they'll always be in danger. But we'll see. Anyway, we'll see you next time. Stay tuned for it. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.